It was a calm afternoon in the city. The sun hung low in the sky, making everything glow with a warm, soft light. The streets were quieter than usual, with only a few cars passing by and the occasional pedestrian hurrying along the sidewalk. On one of the city buses, something unusual was about to happen, a moment that would change the day for everyone involved. The bus was an ordinary one, not too crowded, with the low hum of the engine and the soft squeak of brakes whenever the driver slowed down. People were scattered across the seats, some staring out the window, others quietly scrolling on their phones. Among them were two men who normally drew attention wherever they went. But today they were trying to remain just ordinary passengers. Dwayne Johnson, known to most as The Rock, sat comfortably in a window seat near the middle of the bus. He had on a simple hoodie and jeans, sunglasses hiding his eyes, trying not to stand out. Across the aisle, John Cena leaned back in his seat, his posture relaxed but alert, his eyes scanning the bus quietly. Both were heading to a charity event, but they decided to take public transport for a change, enjoying the chance to see the city from a different perspective and to blend in with the crowd for a while. As the bus rumbled forward, they noticed her. She was a little girl, no more than 7 or 8, sitting alone near the back. She wore a light pink jacket, her hair tied neatly into a small braid. Her small hands clutched the straps of her backpack tightly, and she seemed almost invisible to the rest of the passengers. Her eyes were wide and alert, scanning the bus, but there was a certain nervousness in her movements that immediately caught the attention of The Rock and Cena. The Rock leaned slightly forward, trying to see more clearly. There was something strange about her behavior, something that made him instinctively concerned. Cena, noticing his friend's gaze, followed it and nodded slightly. "You see that little girl back there?" he whispered. The Rock nodded. "Yeah, she doesn't look right. Look at her hands. She's scared of something or someone." Cena's eyes narrowed slightly. He had seen many situations in his life where small details mattered. This girl's posture, the way she hugged her backpack, and the way she kept glancing around, it all added up to a silent plea for help, even if she didn't say a word. The bus moved slowly along the streets, passing small shops, corner stores, and residential blocks. Most passengers paid her no mind, absorbed in their own worlds. But The Rock and Cena couldn't look away. Something about the little girl was different. She didn't fidget nervously because she was shy or bored. She fidgeted because she felt unsafe. And that detail made both men instinctively alert. After a few minutes, the little girl spoke, though very softly. Her words were barely audible, almost drowned out by the hum of the bus and the occasional chatter of passengers. The Rock caught the faint sound of her voice, straining to hear. Cena, leaning closer to the aisle, also focused on the girl. "She sees them," she whispered, her voice quivering. Both men exchanged a glance, their curiosity mixed with concern. "Sees who?" Cena asked quietly, careful not to alarm her. The girl didn't answer immediately. Instead, she hunched slightly in her seat, her tiny frame trembling. Her eyes darted nervously toward the empty seat across from her, as if expecting someone to appear there at any moment. The Rock adjusted his position, leaning closer but keeping a safe distance. He didn't want to frighten her further. "Hey, it's okay. Nobody's going to hurt you here," he said gently. Cena nodded in agreement, his voice calm and reassuring. The little girl's lips trembled and she whispered again, "They follow me everywhere, even here." Now both men were fully alert. They had encountered many unusual situations in their lives, but there was something different here. This wasn't a joke, and it wasn't a typical misunderstanding. The fear in the little girl's voice was real. The Rock's instincts told him that she might be in trouble, and Cena's eyes scanned the bus, looking for any suspicious activity, even though nothing seemed immediately obvious. The bus creaked as it slowed down at a small stop. A few passengers got off, and a few more got on. The little girl's eyes followed each new face, her hands gripping her backpack tighter. The Rock noticed the way her body stiffened with every movement around her. It was a subtle signal, but one he had learned to read over years of experience, especially when children were involved. Cena whispered to The Rock, "We need to be careful. We can't scare her, but we also need to make sure she's safe." The Rock nodded. "Agreed, let's not rush it. Let's see if we can get her to talk a bit. Sometimes kids just need someone to listen." They waited patiently, letting the bus carry them forward. The little girl seemed to sense their attention, but wasn't sure whether to trust them. Her eyes flickered between them and the back of the bus. She seemed to hesitate, as if debating whether to speak up or stay silent. Finally, after a few more moments, she whispered something else, almost too softly to hear. "Please don't let them take me." The Rock felt a pang in his chest. Cena's jaw tightened slightly. Neither of them had spoken yet, but they didn't need words. They both understood the seriousness of the situation. The Rock leaned back slightly but kept his eyes on her. "Hey, it's okay. We're not going to let anything happen to you," he said softly. Cena's voice joined in, steady and calm. "You're safe now. You're not alone anymore." The little girl's grip on her backpack loosened slightly. Her breathing, which had been shallow and quick, began to slow just a fraction. It was a small sign, but a significant one. The Rock and Cena knew that earning a child's trust took patience and kindness, not force or fear. The bus continued to roll along, passing familiar streets lined with trees and small shops. The city felt quiet and almost peaceful, but the tension around the little girl remained. She had a story to tell and she was scared, but now for the first time she felt a glimmer of safety, knowing that two strong, caring men were paying attention to her. The Rock whispered to Cena, "We should try to sit closer. Let her know we're here, not as strangers, but as friends who want to help." Cena nodded, and together they moved slowly down the aisle, careful not to rush or alarm her. The little girl's eyes widened slightly as they approached. She didn't speak immediately, but the slight tilt of her head showed curiosity and perhaps relief. The Rock crouched a little to match her eye level, keeping his tone soft and gentle. "Hi there. I'm Dwayne and this is John. We just want to make sure you're okay. Can you tell us your name?" The girl hesitated, her lips moving silently as she thought. Finally she whispered, "Lily." "Hi, Lily," Cena said, his voice warm and reassuring. "It's nice to meet you. We're here to help you. Nobody's going to hurt you." Lily's eyes flickered between them, searching for any hint of danger. Seeing none, she relaxed a little, though her shoulders were still tense. The Rock smiled gently. "We're going to stay right here with you until you feel safe. You don't have to worry about anything." The bus continued its journey and a quiet calm settled around the three of them. Other passengers were still on the bus, but Lily didn't seem to notice them. All that mattered to her now was the presence of the Rock and Cena, two men who were showing her genuine care and concern. As the bus rattled along the streets, the Rock and Cena exchanged a brief glance. They both knew that the story wasn't over. There was more to Lily's fear, more to the strange events she had been experiencing. But for now, their focus was simple: keep her calm, make her feel safe, and let her know that she wasn't alone. For Lily, this was a small but powerful moment. She had been scared, unsure, and feeling very alone. But now she had two adults who were listening, who were noticing her, and who were willing to help without judgment. It was a start, a first step toward feeling safe again, toward feeling seen. And as the bus continued its slow ride through the city, the Rock and Cena stayed close, ready to protect her, ready to listen, and ready to step in if anything went wrong. They didn't know yet what the rest of the day would bring, but they knew one thing for certain: they wouldn't leave her side. Not now, not ever. The bus continued its slow journey through the city, rattling over bumps and turning at intersections. The sun had started its slow descent toward the horizon, casting long shadows through the windows. The light made everything feel softer, calmer, but inside the bus a quiet tension lingered around the little girl, Lily. The Rock and John Cena stayed close, moving to seats just a few feet away from her. They didn't want to crowd her, but they wanted her to feel their presence, steady, protective, and trustworthy. Lily kept hugging her backpack, her fingers gripping the straps as if they were the only thing holding her to safety. Every now and then she glanced toward the windows, eyes wide, almost expecting to see something frightening. The Rock leaned slightly toward her and spoke softly. "Lily, you don't have to be scared here. We're just riding the bus like everyone else. Nobody's going to hurt you." His voice was calm and steady, a comforting presence. Cena nodded, adding, "We're here for you. If anything happens, we'll make sure you're safe." Lily hesitated, then whispered, I don't know if I can trust anyone." The Rock smiled gently. "That's okay. You don't have to trust anyone right away. Just know we're not going to leave you alone. You can take your time." For a few minutes there was silence. The only sounds were the soft rumble of the bus, the squeak of the brakes, and the faint murmur of other passengers. Lily's breathing slowly became more even. The small girl was still scared, but the warmth and calmness of the Rock and Cena began to seep through her fear, like sunlight breaking through clouds. Finally, Lily whispered more words, this time a little clearer, a little stronger. There are people who follow me, everywhere, even here. Cena's eyes narrowed slightly. Do you know who they are? He asked gently, careful not to alarm her. Lily shook her head, her braid swaying lightly. No, I don't. But they are always watching. Sometimes at the store, sometimes outside my school, sometimes even when I'm on the bus. I try to hide, but they always find me. The Rock's jaw tightened just a little. Cena's expression mirrored his concern. They had both faced challenges and difficult situations, but the fear in Lily's voice was something neither of them could ignore. It wasn't just a child imagining things, this was real, and the little girl was genuinely frightened. Lily, the Rock said softly, thank you for telling us. You're very brave. Not everyone would talk about something like this. But we're going to help you. Lily's eyes flickered between them, and for a brief moment she looked as if she wanted to cry. But what if they come? What if they see me again? Cena leaned closer, his voice calm and steady. Then we'll be right here with you. We'll make sure nothing happens to you. You're not alone anymore. For a few moments, Lily just sat quietly, listening to the bus engine and feeling the reassurance of these two men who didn't know her, but somehow cared deeply. It was a small feeling, but to her it was huge. For the first time in days, maybe even weeks, she felt that someone was on her side. The bus slowed as it approached another stop. A few passengers got off and a few new ones stepped on. Lily's eyes flickered nervously to the door, and the Rock noticed the subtle tension in her body. She was still alert, still wary, but the fear wasn't as sharp as before. It was softer now, softened by the presence of people who cared. The Rock leaned closer and asked, do you want to tell us more about what happened? Only if you feel ready, okay? Lily nodded slowly. Yesterday, I was walking home from school. I thought I was safe, but I noticed a man outside the store. He didn't do anything at first, but he kept watching me. I ran fast, but the next day, he was there again. Her voice wavered. And today, he's here, on the bus. Cena's eyes followed her gaze, scanning the other passengers. Nothing seemed unusual, but the fear in Lily's voice was real. They knew they couldn't just ignore it. The Rock reached out slightly, but not too close, a gentle gesture. Lily, you're not imagining this. We believe you, and we're going to make sure you're safe no matter what. Lily's small fingers unconsciously tightened around her backpack. Really? She whispered. Really, Cena said, his voice firm but kind. We're not leaving your side. Nobody's going to bother you while we're here. The bus continued along the quiet streets, passing small parks, corner stores, and residential areas. The city looked peaceful, but the little girl's fear reminded them that appearances could be deceiving. Lily kept looking out the windows, scanning every shadow, every person, every reflection, as if trying to make sure the danger wasn't real. The Rock spoke softly. You know, Lily, sometimes it helps to know that even when things feel scary, there are people who care about you, people who will step in and protect you. You don't have to face this alone. Lily blinked, looking at him. But what if they come back? Cena shook his head gently. Then we'll deal with it. You're not alone anymore. You don't have to be afraid, not while we're here. For a moment, the little girl was silent. She seemed to be thinking, her eyes scanning the bus, her fingers still clutching the straps of her backpack. Then she whispered something almost to herself. I think they might be after me because I know something. The Rock and Cena leaned closer, careful not to alarm her. What do you know, Lily? The Rock asked gently. Lily hesitated. I don't know exactly, but I think they want to take something from me. Something important. Her voice was tiny, barely audible, but filled with fear. I tried to hide it, but they keep following me. Cena exchanged a glance with The Rock. The situation was delicate. Lily was just a child and her fear was real. Whatever she knew or had, it made her a target. The men weren't going to pressure her, but they needed to understand enough to keep her safe. Lily, Cena said softly, thank you for telling us. You're very brave. We're going to make sure nothing bad happens. We just need to keep you calm and safe, okay? The little girl nodded slowly. Okay, I'll try, The Rock smiled gently. That's all we need for now. Just being brave and talking to us is already a big step. We'll figure out the rest together." The bus moved on and the city seemed to blur past the windows. Lily's fear was still there, but it was quieter now. The presence of the Rock and Cena made her feel protected. She didn't feel completely safe yet, but she could start to believe that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't alone in this frightening world. Minutes passed in quiet observation. The little girl kept her head low, her eyes occasionally flicking to the aisle and the other passengers, but she no longer flinched at every small movement. The Rock and Cena maintained a calm, steady presence, never forcing her to talk but ready to listen whenever she did. Lily finally whispered again, this time with a little more confidence. I want to tell you more. About what's happening." The Rock nodded. "Whenever you're ready, Lily, we're listening." Cena added, "Take your time. You're in control here. Nothing will happen to you while we're with you." For the first time in what felt like forever, Lily felt a tiny spark of hope. She had been scared, alone, and unsure who to trust. But now, with these two strong, kind men paying attention and caring for her, she felt the possibility of safety. She could start to speak, start to share, start to believe that someone could help her. The bus rattled on, carrying them slowly toward their next stop. But inside the small bubble around Lily, the Rock and Cena, a quiet change was happening. Fear was still present, but it was softening. The little girl was starting to trust, to feel seen, and to know that even in a world that sometimes seemed scary, there were people willing to step in and protect her. And for the Rock and Cena, this was more than just a ride on a bus. This was a chance to make a real difference, to help a frightened child, and to remind themselves that sometimes the smallest acts of care, listening, being present, showing kindness, could change someone's world completely. The bus continued moving slowly, its tires humming softly against the pavement. Outside, the city streets glowed in the late afternoon sun. Trees cast long shadows on the sidewalk, and a gentle breeze made the leaves sway. Inside the bus, the atmosphere felt tense but calm in a strange way. Lily was sitting quietly, clutching her backpack, while the Rock and John Cena stayed nearby, giving her space but never leaving her side. For a while, there was silence except for the soft rumble of the engine and the occasional creak of the seats. The little girl seemed lost in thought, her eyes moving nervously from the window to the empty seats around her. The Rock leaned slightly toward her and spoke gently. "Lily, if you want, you can tell us about what happened. We're listening." Lily's small fingers gripped the straps of her backpack even tighter. She hesitated, then whispered, I'm scared they'll find out I talked to you." Cena gave her a reassuring smile. "Nobody's going to hurt you here. We won't let that happen. You're safe with us, okay?" Lily nodded slowly, still unsure, but the warmth and calm in their voices made her feel a little braver. Slowly, she began to speak, her words soft but steady. "It started a few days ago. I noticed people watching me, always at a distance. At first I thought it was just in my head, but then it happened again and again. They follow me everywhere, at the store, on the street, even at school." The Rock listened carefully, his eyes focused on Lily. He noticed the fear in her voice, but also the strength behind her words. Cena, sitting close by, nodded quietly. "Lily, thank you for telling us. You're being very brave. Most kids wouldn't even say anything." Lily looked at them with wide eyes. "But they don't leave me alone. Even today, I felt someone was here, on the bus." Her voice trembled and she hugged her backpack tighter. The Rock placed a hand gently on the edge of the seat near her. "We understand, and that's why we're going to stay close. Nobody's going to bother you while we're around," Cena added. "We'll make sure of it. You don't have to worry about a thing." Lily blinked, feeling a little comforted. She wanted to trust them, and slowly she started to share more. I think they want something from me. Something I don't understand, but I know it's important to them." Cena's expression became serious, but he kept his voice calm. "Lily, it's okay. You don't have to know everything right now. We just need to make sure you're safe. That's what matters." The little girl nodded, trying to steady herself. She looked out the window, her eyes tracking the moving city and then back at the two men sitting nearby. "But what if they find me anyway?" The Rock smiled softly. "Then we'll handle it. You're not alone anymore. Nobody's gonna let anything happen to you." Lily's lips trembled, but she managed a small nod. For the first time in days, maybe weeks, she felt that someone might actually be on her side. Her fear was still there, but it was softened by the presence of these two men who were paying attention, listening and caring for her. As the bus continued its journey, more passengers got on and off. Some were talking quietly, others scrolling through their phones, completely unaware of the small drama unfolding at the back of the bus. Lily's attention was fully on the Rock and Cena. She knew that she could speak freely here, that these two men were different from everyone else she had tried to tell. Finally, she whispered, I want to tell you everything. About them. About why they're after me. The Rock nodded gently. Whenever you're ready, Lily. We're listening. Cena added, take your time. You're in control here. Nothing will happen to you while we're with you. Lily took a deep breath, feeling a little stronger with every word they said. It started with a letter, she said softly. I found it in the mailbox at home. I didn't open it at first, but curiosity got the better of me. Inside, there were instructions. Things I wasn't supposed to tell anyone, and then I realized someone was watching me. The Rock and Cena exchanged a glance. They didn't need to say anything. They knew the little girl was telling them something serious, and they were listening with full attention, ready to respond if needed. Lily continued. After that, they started following me, sometimes in cars, sometimes on the street. I try to hide, but they always find me. I don't know why they want me or the letter, but I'm scared. Cena's voice was calm and reassuring. Lily, you've been very brave to tell us this. We're going to make sure you're safe. You don't have to be scared anymore, okay? The little girl nodded slowly. She felt a little lighter, a little braver, just by speaking out loud to someone who cared. She had been carrying this fear alone for so long, and now she felt a small but important sense of relief. The bus hit a small bump, and Lily's head turned slightly toward the window. She froze for a moment, eyes wide. There they are, she whispered. The Rock and Cena's attention sharpened immediately. Cena leaned slightly forward, scanning the street outside through the window. There in the distance were two shadowy figures standing near the corner, watching the bus. They didn't move, just waited and observed. The little girl's fingers tightened around her backpack again. I knew they were following me, she whispered, voice trembling. The Rock placed a reassuring hand near her shoulder, not touching her, just letting her know he was there. It's okay, Lily. They're not going to get to you. We're right here and we'll make sure you're safe. Cena's voice was steady, firm. We see them, and we're going to make sure nothing happens. You don't have to worry. Lily's small body relaxed slightly, feeling the weight of fear lift just a little. For the first time, she realized she wasn't facing this alone. There were people bigger, stronger, and kinder than her fear. People who would protect her no matter what. The Rock whispered, We're going to keep moving. When we get off the bus, we'll make sure you're somewhere safe. Somewhere you can stay while we figure out what's going on. Lily nodded, trying to trust them. Her fear was still there, but it was no longer paralyzing. She had someone to lean on, someone to guide her through this scary situation. As the bus continued along the quiet streets, the Rock and Cena stayed alert, watching for any sign of trouble. They didn't speak much, letting Lily gather her courage, but their presence alone was enough to make her feel safe. She glanced at them every few moments, and each time she felt a little braver. Finally, the bus began slowing down, approaching a small stop near a park and some residential streets. The Rock and Cena knew this was their chance to act carefully. They would make sure Lily got off in a safe place, away from anyone who might be following her. The little girl's eyes flicked nervously toward the door as the bus slowed. What if they're waiting outside? She whispered. Cena leaned closer, voice calm but firm. Then we'll be ready. We're going to protect you. Nobody's going to touch you. Lily nodded, feeling a little more confident. She trusted them, and that trust gave her the courage to step forward when the bus doors opened. The sun was lower now, casting a golden glow on the street. The shadows of the trees stretched long across the sidewalk, and for a moment, everything felt still. The Rock and Cena moved with her, making sure she stayed close. Lily's small hand brushed against her backpack straps, and she felt a little safer knowing they were beside her. For the first time in days, maybe even weeks, she felt a sense of hope. They would make sure she was safe. They would make sure she wasn't alone. And maybe, just maybe, she could finally believe that someone was truly on her side. The bus doors opened with a soft hiss, and the late afternoon light spilled inside, painting the seats and passengers in a warm glow. The city streets outside were calm, but the shadows along the sidewalks hinted at unknown possibilities. Lily stepped off the bus slowly, her small hands clutching the straps of her backpack. The Rock and John Cena stayed right beside her, alert and calm, making sure she felt safe with every step. "Stay close, Lily," Cena said gently. "We're right here. Nobody's going to hurt you." Lily nodded, her eyes wide as she scanned the area. She could see a couple of people standing further down the street, leaning against walls, seemingly watching. Her chest tightened, fear threatening to creep back in. But then she looked at the Rock and Cena. Their presence was steady, reassuring. For the first time, she felt that someone was truly watching over her. The Rock took the lead, walking just slightly ahead to keep a clear line of sight. "We'll get you to a safe place," he said softly. "Somewhere you can wait while we figure out what's going on." Lily's small feet moved quickly to follow, matching their pace. Her heartbeat raced, but she drew strength from the fact that these two men were beside her. She didn't feel helpless anymore. She felt protected. The trio turned a corner, moving away from the bus stop. The figures they had noticed were still in the distance, watching. Cena's eyes never wavered from them, his posture firm but non-threatening. He whispered to Lily, "It's okay. We see them. They won't get to you. We're making sure of that." Lily swallowed hard, trying to steady her nerves. "Why? Why are they after me?" she asked softly, more to herself than anyone else. The Rock crouched slightly, keeping his tone calm and gentle. "We don't know yet. But what we do know is that you're safe with us. That's what matters. We'll figure out the rest." As they walked toward a small park nearby, the city's quiet noises surrounded them. Distant chatter, a dog barking somewhere in the neighborhood, the soft rustle of leaves in the trees. It was ordinary and peaceful. But for Lily, the fear that had gripped her for days was still there, just beneath the surface. She hadn't felt it fully lift yet, but being with the Rock and Cena gave her the courage to face it. They reached the park, a small open area with benches and a few trees. The Rock motioned toward a bench under a large tree. "Let's sit here for a moment," he suggested. "You can catch your breath and we can talk." Lily sat down slowly, clutching her backpack tightly. Her eyes darted toward the street, still half expecting the figures to appear closer. Cena sat beside her, keeping his eyes on the surroundings without making her feel watched. The Rock took a seat nearby, always within reach but giving her the space she needed to feel comfortable. "Lily," the Rock said gently, "we're going to stay right here with you. Nobody's going to get close to you. You're safe." Lily took a deep breath, her small shoulders relaxing just a little. I hope so," she whispered. Cena nodded. "We know it, and we're not leaving until we're sure of it." For a few minutes they sat in quiet observation. Lily spoke softly about the people who had been following her, their strange behavior, the things she had noticed, and the fear that had kept her awake at night. The Rock and Cena listened carefully, never interrupting, never making her feel rushed. They're always in the shadows," she said. "I can feel them even when I don't see them. They know where I am. I don't understand why they're doing this." Cena leaned slightly closer, his voice calm and steady. "Sometimes people do strange things we don't understand. What's important is that you're safe now, and we're going to make sure it stays that way." The little girl nodded, her eyes wide and filled with a mixture of fear and relief. She wanted to trust them completely, and slowly, she started to feel that she could. For the first time in days, she felt that someone was really on her side. Just then, a movement caught the Rock's eye. One of the shadowy figures from earlier had moved closer, trying to get a better view of Lily. Without alarming her, the Rock stood slightly, keeping his voice calm. "Lily, stay here. We'll handle this." Cena's eyes followed the Rock's silently, ready to back him up. The two men moved slowly toward the figure, keeping their posture non-threatening but firm. The figure, realizing that Lily was no longer alone and that the men were serious, hesitated and eventually retreated down the street. Lily watched in awe, her small hands gripping her backpack. She had never seen anything like this before. She realized that these two men were not just strong, they cared about her, and they were willing to step in to protect her. The Rock returned to the bench and sat down, smiling gently at Lily. "See? You're safe. Nobody's going to get close to you." Lily nodded, a small smile breaking through her nervous expression. "Thank you," she whispered. I was so scared." Cena put a reassuring hand near her shoulder, careful not to startle her. "It's okay, Lily. You don't have to be scared anymore. We're right here." For the next few minutes, they stayed in the park, keeping watch on the streets and making sure Lily felt secure. She talked a little more about what had been happening. The letter, the instructions she had found, and the strange people following her. The Rock and Cena listened carefully, helping her feel understood without pushing her for answers she wasn't ready to give. "You're very brave for telling us all of this," The Rock said softly. "Not many kids would even say a word. But you did, and that's important. That means you're already taking control of the situation." Lily's eyes glistened with unshed tears. I don't feel brave," she whispered. I don't want to be alone." Cena shook his head gently. "You're not alone anymore, Lily. You have us now. And we'll stay with you until you're safe. Nobody's going to let you face this alone." The little girl took a deep breath, feeling a small but significant weight lift from her shoulders. The fear was still there, lurking beneath the surface, but it was no longer paralyzing. She could feel hope, even if it was just a tiny spark. The Rock and Cena made a plan. They decided that Lily would stay in a safe public area, while they made sure no one was following her too closely. They also wanted to contact her parents and the authorities to ensure her long-term safety. Lily nodded in agreement, trusting them completely. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, the park seemed to glow in the golden light. Shadows stretched long across the ground, but for Lily, the light of safety was stronger than the fear. She could feel it in the steady presence of the Rock and Cena, in their calm voices, and in the way they never let her feel small or insignificant. Lily spoke quietly, her voice filled with a mixture of relief and lingering fear. I think I can be safe now." The Rock smiled gently. "You are safe now, Lily. We'll make sure it stays that way." Cena nodded. "And we'll stay right here with you until you're completely sure." For the first time in what felt like forever, Lily felt a sense of peace. She was still a little scared, but she could finally see that she had allies, people who would protect her no matter what. And that knowledge, that feeling of safety and trust was powerful. The Rock and Cena stayed with her, keeping watch as the sun continued its slow descent. The day was not over yet, and there were still questions to be answered, but Lily no longer felt helpless. She was not alone. She had someone on her side. And for a little girl who had felt constantly watched and followed, that was everything. The sun was now low in the sky, casting a soft golden glow across the park. The shadows were long, stretching across the benches and paths. But Lily didn't feel the same fear she had felt earlier. She was still cautious, still alert, but something had changed inside her. For the first time, she felt a sense of safety, a sense that no matter what happened next, she wasn't alone. The Rock and John Cena stayed close, moving calmly around the park, keeping a careful eye on the streets and sidewalks. Their presence was reassuring, steady like an invisible shield protecting Lily from anything that might try to harm her. Every few minutes they would glance at each other and nod, silently communicating that they were ready for anything. Lily sat on the bench, her backpack clutched in her lap. Her small hands were trembling slightly, but it wasn't fear this time. It was the adrenaline of the day, the nervous energy that came from realizing she was finally safe. She looked at the Rock and Cena, her eyes wide. I think I understand now," she whispered softly. "I can't do this alone, but with you maybe I can." The Rock smiled gently. "Exactly, Lily, you don't have to do this alone. That's why we're here. You have people who care about you, and we're going to make sure nothing happens to you." Cena added, "Sometimes life can feel scary, and it can feel like no one is there to help. But the truth is, there are people who will step in when you need them. That's what we're doing for you right now." Lily took a deep breath, letting the words sink in. She had been carrying so much fear and worry for days, maybe even weeks. Now, for the first time, she felt a little lighter, a little braver. She realized that it wasn't weakness to ask for help. It was strength. Just then, movement in the distance caught their attention. The shadowy figures who had been following her earlier were standing near the street, trying to see the park. But they stopped when they noticed the Rock and Cena watching them. The two men moved subtly but firmly toward the edge of the park, letting the figures know that Lily was no longer alone and that anyone trying to approach her would be met with firm resistance. Lily watched in awe. She had never seen anything like this. She realized that these men were not only strong, but they were also kind and careful. They weren't intimidating just for the sake of it. They were protecting her, making sure that she felt safe while also handling the danger around her. The shadowy figures hesitated, then slowly turned and walked away. Lily let out a breath she didn't know she had been holding. Her small shoulders relaxed and she felt a wave of relief wash over her. The Rock returned to the bench and sat down next to her. "See, Lily? You're safe now. Nobody's going to get to you." Lily's lips trembled and she whispered, "Thank you so much. I was so scared, but I knew someone would notice me eventually." Cena smiled warmly. "You don't have to thank us. We noticed you from the start. That's what people do when they care. They step in when someone needs help, and that's what we did for you." For a few moments they sat in quiet. The park was peaceful now and the city noises felt distant. Lily felt the tension in her body slowly melt away. She realized that she could finally breathe, finally relax a little. The fear that had been constant for so long was no longer controlling her. I think I understand now," Lily said softly. "I don't have to face everything alone. I can ask for help and people will help me." The Rock nodded, smiling. "Exactly, Lily. Asking for help isn't a weakness. It's a way to stay strong and safe. You did the right thing by talking to us," Cena added. "And now you know that even when things feel scary, there are people who will stand by you. You have allies. You have support. And that can make all the difference." Lily looked down at her backpack and then back up at them. I feel like I can be brave now. Not because I'm not scared, but because I know I'm not alone." The Rock and Cena exchanged a glance, silently acknowledging how much courage this little girl had shown. She had faced fear every day for so long, and yet she had spoken up, asked for help, and trusted strangers who wanted to protect her. That was bravery in its purest form. As the sun continued to set, casting a warm glow across the park, the Rock and Cena made sure Lily's parents and the authorities were contacted. They explained what had happened, how she had been followed, and how they had intervened to keep her safe. The little girl sat quietly, feeling a mixture of relief and pride. She had been scared, yes, but she had also found her voice. She had reached out for help, and it had made all the difference. Soon her parents arrived at the park, rushing over and wrapping her in a tight, comforting hug. Tears of relief streamed down their faces as they realized that their daughter was safe. Lily smiled through her own tears, feeling the warmth of her family around her. She had been scared and alone, but now she was surrounded by people who loved her, and by strangers who had stepped in when she needed them most. The Rock and Cena stood a little apart, letting the family reunite, but they kept a watchful eye on the surroundings. Seeing Lily safe and with her parents filled them with satisfaction. This wasn't just about stopping someone from following a little girl. It was about restoring her sense of trust, her belief that the world could be kind and protective. Lily turned to the Rock and Cena and whispered, I'll never forget what you did for me. You didn't just protect me, you helped me feel brave." The Rock smiled gently. "And we'll always remember you too, Lily. You taught us something important. Sometimes bravery isn't about fighting. It's about speaking up and letting people help you." Cena added, "And sometimes the people who help you show you how strong you already are. You were brave the moment you told us your story." Lily's small face lit up with a smile, one filled with gratitude, relief, and a newfound sense of confidence. She had been through fear and uncertainty, but she had survived it. And she had learned that asking for help was not a weakness, it was courage. As the sun dipped lower and the shadows grew longer, the city seemed calmer, almost peaceful. Lily held her parents' hands tightly, feeling safe and loved. The Rock and Cena watched for a moment longer, making sure everything was okay, then quietly moved away, blending back into the city crowd. Even though they left, Lily knew she would always carry the lesson they had shown her, that fear could be faced, that asking for help was powerful, and that there were people willing to step in and protect those who needed it most. She felt braver now, not because the danger was gone, but because she had learned she didn't have to face it alone. The day ended with a quiet sense of resolution. Lily was safe, her parents were relieved, and the shadows,